A look ahead to see what we could expect in the 90s.
Well, tonight, with the help of a special poll, we're going to take one last look back at the 1980s. The most and the least, the highs and the lows, the good and the bad.
We begin with a look at the people who gave this decade its character, its dreams, and its scandals. Here they are, the good guys and the bad guys.
So, just who started the fires of this past decade? The 80s were full of the people you love and the people you just love to hate. So let's take a look back at the good, the bad, and the ugly of the decade. First up, the good. In naming the heroes and villains of the 80s, the very good Mother Teresa was one of your heavenly heroes. From the slums of Calcutta, she won a Nobel Peace Prize for her work with the poor.
I now call upon Mother Teresa to receive the diploma and the gold medal.
Win just one for the Gipper.
Well, he won one for himself. You picked the Gipper as your hero of the decade, and his #1 fan couldn't agree with you more.
I certainly do. And I think he's a hero for what he did for the country. I think it all started with what he and Gorbachev did. I mean, it opened the door for all that we're seeing happening now. I mean, I'm so proud of him.
But hold on, Nancy. Your #1 hero was also voted our #4 villain of the decade, and he's in bad company. Arch enemy #3 is Panamanian strongman Manuel Noriega. He's used drugs and violence to keep himself in power, so Americans are just saying no to the naughty Noriega.
I believe that American people doesn't hate me.
But you've got that wrong, Muammar. Americans have targeted Gaddafi, the runner-up on this all-time villain hit list. This Libyan leader remains as mysterious as his secret chemical plant and the weapons he buys from the Soviets. But how bad can a guy be who drives a '68 Bug in Tripoli? So the baddest of the bad in your eyes was Iran's Ayatollah Khomeini. Even from his deathbed, Khomeini ordered the killing of a novelist. And who can forget the 52 American hostages he held captive for 444 days?
Thank God we're home. Yeah, it's just good to get out of Khomeini land.
Now, with the good and the bad out of the way, let's untie the ugly, as in scandal. We asked you, what was the biggest scandal of the decade?
I would call it a rape.
It all started with a candid confession by former PTL Secretary Jessica Hahn. The scandal and the scam of the PTL ministry caused Jim and Tammy's fall from grace.
I am confident that if we can have a fair trial and due process, we will win.
But in the end, Baker was pulled off his pulpit and put behind bars, and Jessica would like to throw away the key.
But he made his bed. If he wants to blow his head off, let him. I don't give a damn about Jim Baker.
But all's fair in love and war, and when we asked you who the couple of the decade was, Jim and Tammy came in third, but royalty rose above religion. The wedding of the century belonged to the couple of the decade, Prince Charles and his lady Di. Since their holier-than-thou vows in '81, rumors of a split have titillated the tabloids. In the latest episode of this royal saga, Diana supposedly spent a night playing cards at the home of an ex-boyfriend. Of course, when the dirt was dished, Di displayed a royal flush.
Oh!
That was Nancy's reaction when she found out you chose her and hubby Ron as the lovebirds of the 80s. And when we told her that they beat out the Prince and the Paupers...
We like your reaction to the company you're keeping. Well, it's varied, isn't it?
After a delightful decade of gorging on gossip, who were you absolutely sick of hearing about? Donald Trump bought himself the #3 spot, a man who isn't shy about putting his name on everything, even a board game.
I think you'll like it.
Well, you're probably sick of hearing about Jim and Tammy in this poll, and guess what? You're sick of hearing about them, period. These PTL partners in crime made you double over with pain.
What have we done? What in the world have we done? I can't figure out what we've done wrong.
In our cast of characters for the good, the bad, and the ugly, it took a good actor to play all the parts. But as we wind down the 80s, it's only fitting to end where we began. Your hero, Ronald Reagan, was also your #1 man of the decade. And Mother Teresa was your choice as woman of the decade.
Somebody asked me, what will you do when there'll be no more poor in the world? And I said, we'll be unemployed.
At 79, this Roman Catholic nun recently suffered a heart attack. but all our thoughts are with her, because in a decade of sinners and saints, she's made believers out of us all.
Well, in the spirit of Glasnost, Mikhail Gorbachev was runner-up to Mr. Reagan as Man of the Decade.
And runner-up for Woman of the Decade? Well, she beat out other notables like Margaret Thatcher, Princess Di, and even Corazon Aquino. It's Mrs. Gipper herself. That's right, Mrs. Nancy Reagan.
Now, a special tribute to those legendary stars we loved and lost in the past decade. They will always be remembered.
Tonight, we're making America laugh. So attention, everyone, and get ready to join forces with Major Dan.
We love it at our house.
Then, Teddy's client goes bananas.
That little scene-stealing toad, he's a monkey. Yeah, then how come he gets all the good lines?
On the famous Teddy Z.
Tough break.
And it's a Murphy Brown family reunion.
Surprise!
But with one too many moms.
Why is he crying like that? He wants to be breastfed. Oh, God.
Join the laughter tonight on CBS.
The Greentree Pet Centers mean large selections and low, low prices. Light up your world with the enjoyment of owning pets. This week at the Greentree Pet Center, 55-gallon tanks and full-hood fluorescent lights, only $99.95. And mini aqua clear filters are only $10.95. The Greentree Pet Centers, north at 1604 Greentree Boulevard and south at 4414 Outer Loop. Shop and compare and you'll find we're your one-stop pet shop center.
You know, if we dimmed the lights and tried to make Shoney's a more romantic restaurant, you wouldn't get as much food. Because you couldn't find your way to the soup, salad, and fruit bar. You know, some steak restaurants are so caught up in self-service, they treat you just like cows. At Shoney's, we treat you just like people. Yeehaw.
Gotham Corner Store. We seem to be down to our last diet fruit. A gentleman is on his way to pick some up. Just look for a black cow. And by the way, the gentleman is usually in quite a rush.
Just for the taste of it, Diet Coke.
Batman's in a rush, all right. He's already out on video cassette. Catch Batman now at a special low price.
And for Timmy and Jimmy and Larry, Mary and Gary, for Phil and for Betty and Eddie, Jackie and Jack, for Roger, Randy, Cleo, Rusty and Kathy, and the twins.
No matter how long your list, there's still toys enough and time if you hurry to Wal-Mart Toyland now. Wal-Mart, always a low price on the gifts you want. Always.
Welcome back to the Galleria. In the 80s, disco died, and the party animals of the 70s became stay-at-homes. Living rooms became home entertainment centers, complete with state-of-the-art video and stereo equipment, and we became more particular about what we played on them. Tonight, we take a look at the best of entertainment in the 80s.
In the 1980s, entertainment imitated life. Money talked.
Greed, for lack of a better word, is good.
Family became fashionable, and the boomers had babies. With cable and the VCR, we became couch potato converts. Now, as the 80s are ending, we ask, what is your favorite TV show? Taking the boob out of the tube is the very smart 60 Minutes, which clocked in as your fourth favorite show and tied with Family Ties. You got nostalgic with the 4077 and their razor-sharp wit with your third choice, MASH.
Touch and go. He's given a whole new meaning to the term lead poisoning.
From the battlefront to the home front in the hottest half hour ever comes your number 2 choice, The Cosby Show. But when it came time to toast the number 1 TV show of the 80s, you bellied up to the bar and asked for cheers.
Oh, come on. I bet you're the kind of girl that lights up a room when she smiles.
That's stupid.
I need a little help there. Watch it. Watch it. Gee, I was wrong.
Starting with the men, your favorites have very different personalities. You chose the Casanova, Ted Danson.
Thank you.
The Capitalist, Michael J. Fox.
I got the job. Whoa!
And the Cause.
Well, back from a triumphant day of shopping, did you get everything you wanted?
No.
The father who knows best helped us survive the 80s by sharing his old-fashioned and funny family values.
Now, I am just sick and tired. And tired always follows sick. Worst beating I ever got in my life. My mother said, I am just sick. I said, and tired. I don't remember anything after that.
But just what messages did your favorite female stars send? You chose hard-headed women with weak wills, Sybil Shepherd and Shelley Long. Then, #1 newcomer Roseanne Barr stepped in to break the blonde mold with a style of her own.
I must dance!
When we asked you to single out your favorite singers, your sentiments surprised us.
Who's that?
Yes, the gloved one did moonwalk his way onto the list, but you chose Braids over Badness as second best.
The life I love is making music with my friends.
The Gambler cleaned up as your favorite crooner.
Tell her that I'm on fire.
But Kenny himself doesn't think much of his throaty voice.
I'm not a great singer. I think that what I am good at is I tell stories very well, and I think I pick hit songs as well as anybody in the business.
Your favorite female singers are a three-way tie for second. Whitney Houston, Diana Ross, and this newcomer and former legal secretary. Thank goodness Anita Baker preferred singing to typing.
If all those little bluebirds fly.
But you know who stole the spotlight from them all.
Wait till they get a load of me.
Your favorite male movie stars turned out to be old favorites.
You've got to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, Bunk?
Making your day and decade as pick #3 is the ever-modest Dirty Harry.
You didn't rig this, huh?
The Joker's wild that you dealt him the #2 winning hand, Jack Nicholson.
Coffee?
Yes, Senator.
Sally Gibbs, Sally. 461-0192. How did you know my phone number? You said read the telephone book last night, did you?
Your #1 choice turned in a near-perfect performance for his role as an autistic savant in Rain Man, Dustin Hoffman.
We're talking about my baby daughter.
Dustin was at odds with his leading lady in Kramer vs. Kramer, but now Meryl Streep joins him as your favorite movie star.
Fantastic.
Your top 3 favorite movie choices reflected what we were all looking for in the 1980s.
Oh, look, I've spotted the loons. Oh, they're so lovely.
Your third favorite, On Golden Pond, showed us that older people can be young at heart.
I think they're looking at us.
They are. While E.T., your second favorite, proved you didn't need to be old to be wise.
You took my queen, Ray. I've got a 10. I needed that queen.
There's lots of
And your all-time favorite of the decade, Rain Man, reminded us that even in the material 80s, Love and Family still rated #1.
You gotta love this town.
One of the most popular forms of entertainment in the 80s was the talk show, and the favorite is still the old favorite, Johnny Carson. However, runner-up Oprah Winfrey was preferred by women.
Your pick of the 80s is a 3-time Super Bowl champ with staying power for the 90s. At 33, Joe Montana just keeps getting better with age.
I'm sure it'll win someday, and hopefully it won't be for a while.
How would you explain it? A woman in Wisconsin is possessed by a terrifying feeling that her daughter has just been in an accident. She makes a desperate phone call and learns her feeling was true. And how can people around the world describe a being from space and have their descriptions match almost exactly? Maybe no one can fully explain these things, but they can no longer be ignored. That's why Time Life presents this new series, Mysteries of the Unknown, a serious look at what may lie beyond ordinary reality. How would you explain this? Four men enter a shadowy ring of trees. One is grabbed by an unseen force and held suspended in the air. There are so many hints of a world more remarkable than we ever imagined. Examine your first volume and see if you can explain these things away.
To order Mystic Places, call 1-800-231-6600. Keep it and pay just $12.99 plus shipping and handling. Other books will follow, one about every other month. Keep only the ones you want, cancel anytime. Call now, 1-800-231-6600.
AAA Kentucky Travel Agency presents Hawaii. On January 6th, PM Magazine is leaving for an incredible 7-day cruise in the Hawaiian Islands aboard the fabulous SS Independence. They'd like you to join them and watch the taping of segments for upcoming editions of PM Magazine. Your cruise package includes round-trip airfare, fantastic shipboard amenities, and more. Call AAA Kentucky Travel Agency now and reserve your place on this extraordinary cruise. AAA Kentucky Travel Agency. We sell the world.
These days, everyone's going back to the future, where people are looking at the world through very different glasses. Now bring part of Back to the Future back with you. Drop by any Pizza Hut restaurant and get a pair of futuristic solar shades, inspired by the movie Back to the Future Part 2. Only $1.99 with any Pizza Hut pizza. Collect a different pair each week while supplies last. Solar shades from Pizza Hut. They're going like there's no tomorrow.
Pizza Hut, making it great! You can be a winner at the game of life. Spin the wheel. I'm on my way. Make your choices. Collect my pay. You may go far. I rent my car. Go to college. Be a movie star. You can be a winner at the game of life.
Hey, look, I've got a wife.
Kids and taxes. Treasure too. Will you be rich when you is through? You can be a winner at the game of life. I win.
The Game of Life from Milton Bradley.
It was a decade that began and ended with a big bang, starting with the eruption of Mount St. Helens and ending with an explosion of freedom in Berlin. There were disasters, natural and man-made. There were scandals, personal, political, and religious. There was war and peace, heroism and cowardice, hope and despair. All in all, the major news events of the 1980s will be affecting our lives for years and years to come.
They are now reduced to mere images, forever etched in our minds. These are the events that have shaped our lives this past decade, and here's what you chose as the most memorable. Your number 4 choice is a 3-way tie of events that best demonstrate what happens when power runs amok.
I came here to tell the truth. I told you that I was going to tell it to you, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
With the ambition of a pit bull, Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North aided the Nicaraguan Contras by making arms deals with Iran. His was power abused. The Chernobyl meltdown in the Soviet Union. 31 people died as we held our breath and watched the horrors of radiation exposure. And this year, we got an unwelcome glimpse of the power of Mother Nature when Hurricane Hugo ripped through the South like Sherman through Atlanta. The nation's costliest storm racked up a tab of more than $5 billion.
The standardized quota was 0.04, and the blood level in the captain's blood was 0.061.
A drunk skipper is held responsible for the worst oil spill in history, and your choice for the 3rd most memorable news event. When the Exxon Valdez ran aground at Prince William Sound in Alaska, 11 million gallons of crude oil covered the most pristine waters in the world, killing thousands of animals and seabirds.
It makes you sick.
I wanted to cry.
Number 2 is the San Francisco earthquake, a 7-point shakedown that collapsed buildings, freeways, and bridges. Lives were lost and heroes were made, all while reminding us that life on the fault line is only a heartbeat away from disaster.
3, 2, 1, and liftoff. Liftoff of the 25th Space Shuttle mission, and it has cleared the tower.
What started out as a chilly morning full of anticipation ended in tragedy and left us all wondering one thing: why? On January 28, 1986, 7 astronauts, including a 37-year-old teacher from New Hampshire, climbed aboard the Space Shuttle Challenger, only to perish 74 seconds after liftoff.
Challenger, go at throttle up.
Roger, go and drop up.
One minute, 15 seconds. Velocity 2,900 feet per second. Altitude 9 nautical miles. Downrange distance 7 nautical miles. Flight controllers here looking very carefully at the situation. Obviously a major malfunction.
The widows of Commander Dick Scobie and pilot Mike Smith are now building a living memorial to the Challenger crew at the Houston Museum of Natural Science. It's a place where our children can learn what these 7 heroes died for. Some news events became issues that wouldn't go away. Here are your choices for the most important issues of the 80s.
Best of babies live! Best of babies live!
Right to life is a lie! They don't care! Women die!
Through the decade, abortion has been a charged controversy fueled by emotions on both sides of the issue. Recently, pro-lifers were given some hope when the Supreme Court gave the states more power to decide the conditions for an abortion, severely limiting just who can make that choice.
They will whittle away until there's nothing left except wealthy women can get an abortion. Some right.
You ranked our nation's drug problem number 2, and it's not just the increasing imports we're dealing with. Now we have crack, a homemade version of a poor man's cocaine. Cheap, instantly addicting, and very deadly. The sad part is, it's become the drug of choice for kids on the street. 10 years ago, most people never heard of AIDS, but according to our poll, this is the most important concern of the 80s. Maybe because it's no longer discriminating, and now the faces of the victims touch too close to home. Unfortunately, it is a burden we must carry with us into the next decade, where hopefully it will end.
Now, if you're wondering why the end of the Berlin Wall wasn't mentioned, well, that's because our special poll was taken before the recent events occurred in Germany. Now, other issues you considered important in the 1980s included American-Russian relations and child abuse.
Who is your favorite newscaster of the 80s? Hard to believe a 3-way tie among the big 3. Not good enough for us. We took a closer look. For men, it's Brokaw, Rather, and Jennings. But for women, just the opposite. Who said news doesn't have
Kentuckiana Christmases, making perfect gifts for Christmas giving. You can make your gift selections from over 4,000 different pieces. One that will be the perfect gift for that certain someone. A gift of stoneware has a magical quality that says, you're very special to me. Remember, this year, Santa suggests stoneware. From Louisville Stoneware, of course.
Karen Scott before Nutrisystem, Karen Scott after Nutrisystem.
I lost 140 pounds, and I feel like a whole new person. When I look in the mirror, I see a woman who is 46 years old, who is probably in better shape than a lot of 36-year-olds. I was walking along the street. A gentleman was coming toward me. He stopped and he said, "Beautiful." And I thought, Karen, you've got it made.
Call Nutrisystem today, 244-8333, for the location nearest you.
What's this?
An analog or digital, your chronograph is pivotal.
Which watch? watch. Armotron is
America's watch.
Switch your watch to this watch.
You're always on with Armotron.
Whichever watch is your watch, find the right watch at Wal-Mart.
Come to Wal-Mart
With low prices.
all the time. You save time after time on time.
Wal-Mart.
Watch out!
Sometimes you can tell by the way it looks. Sometimes you can tell by the way it feels. Sometimes it comes to you in broad daylight. Sometimes you find it in the middle of the night. But you know when you got the right one. This is the right one. You know when you got the
Welcome back to PM Magazine. Right now it's time to announce tonight's finalist in the Great Knockout Contest.
And the lucky person tonight is Roberta B. Luke of Louisville.
Congratulations, Roberta. You've just become eligible to win a $1,000 shopping spree at Bacon's just in time for Christmas.
As well as a pair of ringside seats to see Sugar Ray Leonard battle Roberto Duran in Las Vegas. Now, round-trip airfare and hotel accommodations are being provided by World Travel.
If you'd like to enter our contest, it's probably too late to send us a postcard, but you can drop one by WHAS TV at 520 West Chestnut. Now be sure to include your name, address, and telephone number and get that postcard in by 5 o'clock tomorrow.
Now, we're going to be drawing our last finalist and then the big winner on Wednesday. So drop those postcards off now.
And keep your fingers crossed. We'll see you tomorrow.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Tomorrow, get ready as Barney tutors Opie with his arithmetic. However, adding up apples and oranges may sum up to a bad lemon in the classroom. Hilarious antics on The Andy Griffith Show, tomorrow afternoon at 4:30. Now, stay tuned to Major Dad, next on WHAS TV.